first thing I want you to do is to access your Vocarium. So you need to go to labs.vocarium, and then you want to put your username and password. So in my case, I will put a student email I have created before. It's Basil, which is a student email. Then once you go to Vocarium, there is a few things you need to look at, which is basically you need to go to My Classes, and you need to make sure you are in the Academy Cloud Foundation V. Once you select this, you need to go and select the first lab, which is Lab Introduction to AWS IAM. All with me, you can type in the chat box if you are okay with me. You can access labs.vocarium, all good. Just to make sure we're all on the same page. Yeah. I don't have the option, but can you access the class? Anyway, the link for the labs.vocarium.com can be found here in Moodle. You can see my page now, right?
Yeah.
So you can see my browser. Okay. So try to log in to labs.vocarium. .com.
So yeah, I'm logged in there, but in that drop down for classes, I don't have that option. I
would like you to interact with me more. So try to type in, what do you think you are doing right or not? Make sure you mute your mic. Okay, so we all are in labs.vocarium. My classes, you go to My Classes, and then to Academy Cloud Foundation V2, select that. Once you are in Academy Cloud Foundation V2, select the first lab, and you will be able to see my work. Once you go to my work, now make sure you read the instruction carefully. So in this lab, it is about the Academy AWS Foundation class, Identity and Access Management Service. What is it? And we explained this in the class. It's a web service that enables us to manage our users, customers, and as well to manage groups and rules and permission. So what we are going to cover in this account, this lab will demonstrate how we can create all these users, and we give them IAM policies, okay, and we inspect them, and then we will try to locate and using those IAM sign in URL. Then we'll do like a few experiment with it. Now, there is other AWS services that you can look at, which basically the IAM user and their access. Now, how we can start the lab? Things are really simple here. The first thing we will do is to go to the start of the lab. So if you read the instruction here, accessing the AWS Management Console, at the top of these instructions, click Start Lab. So we'll start lab now. And this starting the lab will take a few minutes. So don't panic, just be patient. And as I said to you guys, our target when we do those labs is basically you manage to do the lab without looking to the lab sheet. So you look to the main task and you can do them without following step by step. So my lab is in creation now, so I need to wait for the lab to be fully created. And followed by that, I will start doing the steps by steps. You can close this window if you are seeing this, like my advice to you, you see this live tutorial from one device and you practice another device, or you put the two windows, the Zoom windows and the lab window in front of you, and you work side by side, which make them really productive. I encourage you to keep talking on the chat box so I could see what's going on. If you face a problem, I could give you full control to share your screen with me, and I will be able to help. If needed, I don't think we will face this disaster scenario. Anyway, like in the future, feel free to repeat those labs as many times as you need. Practice them more. Once you practice more, you understand the console more. So let me check in. Any questions so far?
No, all good for now.
No.
Okay, no question. Now the lab is saying we need to wait for the lab to be ready, and the first thing we need to do
have to close the
users and the groups. So in this task, we want to explore the user and the groups that have already been created for us in the IAM service. So how we can do this? Once the lab is ready, okay, once the lab is ready, we will look at the possibility to read those things, and we can make sure the lab is ready by going to show details, and this will give us the possibility to check whether the lab is ready or not. So the lab seems to be okay for us now. It is ready, and let me show you now how we can access the AWS console. So the first thing I need to do is to go to this button here, AWS. Once I click on the AWS, it will take me to a new window here, a new tab, and this is the AWS Management Console. This is the web console that we have been speaking about. Okay, before I go further, let me check with you guys. Are we all at the same step? Have we managed to start the lab, all of us? Have we managed to access AWS console? If not, please let me know in the chat box.
It's work for me.
No, mine is still initializing.
Okay, we will wait. We will wait. All right, so back to the console. He said in the console, go and click on the service menu and then click on the IAM. So let me go back to my console window, IAM. So these are the services. From the services, okay, we need to click at IAM. I can't find it, so it's much easier for me to type. So I could type in the name of the service, and AWS console will find the service for me. So IAM. So this is IAM. Now go back. He said in the navigation pane, go and click users. Okay. I want you to be careful when you do those labs. You need to follow the instruction very carefully. So you go to all navigation pane on the left, select users, and you will find that you have user 1, user 2, and user 3 already created for you. Now he is saying click user 1, and this will bring you a summary page for user 1, and the permission tab will be displayed. So we'll click on user 1, and these are the permission tab where we have for user 1. This is what we can see for user 1. Yeah, Michael, I just see. All right, I just see your point there in the chat box. Go back and you could you could see that you have done the lab or started the lab by seeing this timer moving, which is the time timer. That's the first signal. So it's, you are giving 3 hours, and the time starts to be reduced, deducted. Or you go to the details, and from the detail, just to press show, and from the show screen, you can see that you have the lab is ready. So the lab is going to give you those details here from the details, okay?
Basil,
All
I've got
thank you,
lab
Mike.
status
Now,
ready. Sorry, Basil,
the
I've got
next
lab
step,
status ready.
after back to
Okay.
this, he said, we will notice the permission tab, and we will look at the group tab. So we look now at the group, and we will say that this user has no group so far. So let us see what we can do about it. In the following, a group have already been created for you. So if we go and click at groups, there is also EC2 Admin, EC2 Support, SC3 Support as well. Now what he wants me to do is to click on the EC2 Support group. So this is my EC2 Support group. And then he said, go and in the permission tab, we want to check the permission tab, and the permission tab has a policy called Amazon EC2 Read Only Access. And from the class today, this means we are able now to access the EC2 resources with read only mode. So we can view all the instances that we have created. We can get more information, read more information about them, but we are not able to create or to delete an EC2 from the console. Now, if we go back, they're asking us under action, click and show policy link. So we can go here, and under action, this is the action, show policy link. And this is the JSON formatted policy document that we explained today in the class. It's just giving all for EC2 and load balancing to list, to get, to describe metrics, and also for all auto scale. So this is the policy that we are trying to do. Now we want to click close the box, and we go back to select the groups, and we look at SC3 Support. So we go back to our groups, select SC3 Support. We can see that there is a policy called Amazon SC3 Read Only Access. So we show the policy, and you can see that the policy is doing get and list for everybody. So any group that take this policy will be able to get and list SC3 objects. Now we need to click on the EC2 admin, a group again. So we go back to the groups, EC2 admin, and you can see that they have a policy called EC2 Admin Policy. Once you look at it, it is basically allow everything to describe start instance and stop instances in EC2. Now, if you go back, we will build our business scenario. So for this scenario, we want to finish the lab, and we have like a company, and this company is using AWS, and they want to use Amazon EC2, and they want to create a deal of Amazon SC3 storage. You wish to get access to new stuff. User 1, SC3 Support. User 2, EC2 Support. User 3, EC2 Admin. And now we want to add user to groups. I prefer if I pause now, and I will give you time to calibrate and to basically reach the same step. So you can do this step. You can do this step by yourself, and you can ask me question over in the chat box. Which lab is this? It's lab 1, Introduction to AWS IAM. And this is why I want to pause. So let me pause now for a bit. Okay, I want you to relax, guys. I will mute my mic and I will wait for your questions in the chat box. You can start again if you want. You can start from scratch. And now you have to do task 2 alone. But once you finish task 2, I will do it in front of you as well. So let me pause my recording, and I will pause and I will wait for your questions. Still, before I go, I will give you like 20 minutes to finish. Before I go, make sure you ask me questions there in the chat box. Okay, guys, it's much easier for me to continue speaking. Maybe I just go back to a few things. Okay, so when you click on Start Lab, okay, it will be in a creation mode. You check that you are okay with ready. Just click on Details and show the details. Now, once you show your details here, it will give you more information that the session is started, the session end, and you have about this number of minutes in order to finish the lab. And it will give you also the PIM file and the PPK file. These we are going to use them later on, okay? So you don't panic, even if the lab is still giving you a creation. Sometimes it will take 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes for the lab to finish the creation process, because this is a script, and this script needs to be basically implemented and executed in the cloud. As I said, the magic thing is patient. About Danny, are you okay now? Are you okay? Who else having an issue? I'm not sure about what you mean by you can hear or something. You all muted. You should not be seeing here or something. You should not hear each other. Okay. So back to this, guys. So we managed to show you how you do that. Okay. Conan. Oh, okay. Look, guys. So in task 2, we go back to the management console. We go back to users. Okay. And the first thing we need to do, we select the groups. Okay. We want to add user 1 into the SC3 support. Okay, and now let me ask one simple question. Can you all of you hear me, Basil? Can you hear me and you see my screen now? Okay, so we want to add user 1 to SC3 group. So I want to go to my groups, select SC3, and I go and read the following instructions. However, there is a trick I want you to learn. In Windows or in Mac, you can put those two windows side by side, and you read from one window and you practice in the other. This is going to help you pretty much, but because now I am recording, it will be very hard for me to do it. I could show you at the end of the session how I can do this in Mac. You have to do it in Windows. You should see like a YouTube video how to share screens or a window side by side in Windows. Okay, so from SC3 Support, we want to click the User tab. So let me go back to SC3 Support, and this is the User tab, and we want to add a user to this group. I think the task asking me to select user 1. Okay. Now I have to select user 1, and at the bottom of my screen, there is an add user button here. Okay. Now we need to go back. It's a bit confusing. Let me try to put the zoom at the bottom. Now we want to add user 2 to the EC2 support. So I go back to my groups, EC2 support, user tab, add user to group, user 2, add user. So this is about it. And we go to add user 3. We want to add it to EC2 admin. So we go back to groups, EC2 admin, add user to group, and this is user 3, add users. And finally, we want to do the similar step to the ones above to add user 3 to EC2 admin group. And we want to click on groups. Each group should have one user in the column, and you should, if you don't have one beside each, you should basically go and check that you did maybe something not correctly. So all done, each group has one user. And as we say in the class today, those groups, you can basically add multiple users to them. And the sweet things about a group, you can assign a permission to the group, and every single user in the group will get the same permission. Next step, we want now to single sign in, and we test the user. So we need now in this task to test the permission of each IAM user. I will test one of those. Okay. Now, let me do another sharing. I have to share the whole screen instead of one single, my whole desktop share instead of this. So you could see now my desktop. And the reason for this, I need to use another browser to test the sign-in. So we go now to the users. Let's say we select users. Let me select user 3. And in the user 3, if you read the instruction, we click on the dashboard, and IAM user sign-in link display, which is similar to this. Okay. So just let me put this down. Okay. So we were here in the groups. Okay. Now go back to the instruction. In this task, we click dashboard. Okay. And from the dashboard, which is this one, there is IAM user sign-in link, which is this one. We want to copy this. Now you don't put it in the same browser, because you will be logged out. You will be signing out your current user here. So you much better if you use another browser. Let me use Chrome for this example. I have a Chrome, and I will copy the sign-in page, the sign-in link here. Now go back to the Brave browser. I'm using Brave browser. Okay, go to the dashboard. Now in the dashboard, copy the IAM and open a private window, or you could open a private window. That's another trick, or another browser. It's up to you. And then put the user name and the password. So this is user 1, and this is lab password. Sign in. You should be able now to check and sign to everything this user is supposed to do. Now, back to this, user one, if you remember what user one was, user one, we give him access to SC3 support. So let me just show you what we mean by this. Let me go now to EC2. I will try to use user one to create or to launch an EC2 instance, and you will see what will happen. So launch an instance. Select this. Immediately we got an error. But if I navigate and go to SC3, you will find that this user could see if there is an SC3 bucket here. So he could list and view the content of SC3 bucket. This is just a quick information about what we mean by this. Now click on SC3. Since you are in AC3 support, you can see that you have no access to EC2, and you can't see any instances. Instead, an error happened, and this is what I just show you. Now let me go back, and I will basically sign out. I will sign in back using user 2. And the password for all users are the same, lab password. We will use this password in many labs as well. Now in user 2, once we want to sign in with user 2, we want to go and switch. We click EC2, but first we need to select EC2. So we are in EC2 now, and we need to change the region from Ohio to Oregon. So we need to change the region from here, from this side of the window, and this will change it to Oregon. So let me go back to North Virginia or the default one. Sometimes this step is a little bit slow. You need to wait. Yes, so sometimes some students, they find the EC2 in Oregon, and some of them, they find it in North Virginia. So this is North Virginia, and this is the EC2 that we have been told that it is available. It has a public IP address, something as well, we will describe it later on in the future classes. Okay. Now we want to start doing an action using an EC2. And before I just do this, EC2 support, it is a group, and that group has a permission, which is read-only access, which means they cannot delete, they cannot create an EC2. So the lab now asking me to go to the action, an instant state, and we want to stop the EC2. We got an error because we are not authorized to stop this EC2. Now, if we go back to the lab instruction, I think I click. We got an error, so now we go back to Chrome, and we will basically try to access by stopping the instance error. We did that, we cancel it. We will go to SC3 now. Yeah, I will slow down. We will go to SC3. So I am in this step 49, guys. Are we good, or you want me to pause? Okay. Not bad. Step 32. Not bad. Okay. By the way, this meeting will be recorded, so you can view the video recording later on at home at your own pace. So even if I go so fast, don't worry, you can catch on later on. Now, the last thing we want to do is to try going to SC3 from user 2. You can know the name of the user here when you look at user 2. So we will go now to SC3, and from SC3 we will see if we have permission to view SC3. Unfortunately not. It will give us an error or a complaint that we don't have a sufficient permission to list the bucket. We go in step 50 now. We want to sign out and sign in back again using the user 3. So I will go here, sign out. And from the sign out, we will do sign back again. And to sign again, we will put user 3 and the password lab-password. Sign in. Go back again into the instruction of user 3. In the navigation pane, go to the instances. As an EC2 administrator, you should have a permission to stop the EC2 instance. So we go to EC2, and you can see we can go to the instances, and we select it, and we can do stop with no problem because we have an EC2 admin. In the action menu, we go instance state, stop, and stop the instance. And this is pretty much what we need to do in this lab. So for the guys who are still way behind me, I will pause my recording now, and I will stay online just to address your questions. So I will give you the time, enough time to finish. If you finish the lab, you can leave this session and you can carry on by checking your knowledge in the knowledge assessment in AWS training, where you can find also the every single module recorded as a video as well. And thank you for participating in this live tutorial, and I'll see you in next week. If you finish the lab, you can go, guys. If you don't finish the lab, stay and we will finish it together.